Our next speaker, our next speaker is Malcolm Roberts, who writes, speaks and consults on human freedom. He provides a specialised management and leadership service in all industry sectors. His educational qualifications are similar to those of the UN IPCC chairman and author, the so-called world's top climate scientist, an honours degree in engineering and postgraduate studies in business. He read thousands of pages on scientific books, journals and articles, and has listened to some of the world's leading climate scientists. His research into climate is self-funded. He is not affiliated with any organisation that receives government research grants, nor any industry body, nor any organisation that depends politically on climate fear. If I haven't said it, you probably realise he's a climate sceptic. Malcolm Roberts.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you to the New Farm Neighbourhood Centre. It's nice being back in the powerhouse. My wife Christine and I, a few years ago, watched the play Vagina Monologues downstairs in the theatre. That play, audience involvement, actually required members of the audience to use a four-letter word starting with C. Tonight, I'm going to be discussing three four-letter words starting with C: care, core, and cure. Charles Darwin showed that human survival and success depend on care. Care is in our genes. Hand up here anyone who does not care about the environment. Hand up anyone who does not care about humanity. See, we all care. We all care, and care is inherent, whether it's for ourselves, or our families, or our friends, or humanity, or fellow creatures, or our beautiful planet. We all care. Now, pollution hurts our health. It hurts us economically. Our productivity suffers. It's enormously wasteful. Commercially, pollution is stupid. By damaging nature, pollution hurts us spiritually. Yet pollution and global warming are completely separate topics. Because humans care, London's air is now cleaner than it was in the 1400s, 6 centuries ago. Just 160 years ago, thousands of Londoners died annually from chronic lung disease due to pollution. Despite adding millions of cars, millions of people, and massive industry, London's air is now cleaner than it has been for 600 years. The genuine environmental movement is one of Earth's most important. Care, though, can be derailed by ignorance. In the 1970s, at the height of DDT's success eradicating malaria, it was banned by the United Nations Environmental Programme, UNEP. Did you know that banning was politically motivated and completely contrary to the science? In 2004, the UN's World Health Organization condemned the ban and restored DDT's use. In its absence, over 30 million people died agonizing deaths from malaria, including 20 million Africans. DDT would have prevented their deaths. In this way, UNEP is in the league of Earth's worst mass murderers: Hitler, Mao, and Stalin. For care to be effective, care needs to be informed. When it comes to global warming, what I've seen is that people have many diverse feelings. There's a lot of confusion, fear, guilt, frustration, resentment, anger, apathy, doubt. People say they need and are looking for trust, understanding, reassurance, security, confidence, hope, clarity. Clarity emerges by examining the core to understand the issues. We all care, so let's start on the core, understanding. The government and Greens policies are based on reports by the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the UN IPCC. It selects panelists to read literature. Politicians then write summaries given to national governments and media. UNEP formed the UN IPCC in 1988. It does no scientific research. It's not accountable to any national governments. The handout you have contains a brief global warming timeline, starting with 1974's climate alarm. That was about catastrophic global cooling due to carbon fuels. In 1976's Great Pacific Climate Shift, a very small temperature rise occurred. Just 4 years later, at UNEP's 1980 conference in Villach, Austria, government scientists refused to sign UNEP's claim that global warming was due to carbon fuels. They said, no evidence. 1985, UNEP learned, and it selected its own delegates. They signed UNEP's claim, but again, no evidence. So why? Michael, Chapter 9 of the UN IPCC's latest report, the 2000 report, is that report core. It is the chapter attributing warming to human carbon dioxide. I've read it twice, and there's no evidence. William, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's expert reviewer, PhD scientist Dr. Vincent Gray, has reviewed all 4 UN IPCC reports, 91, 95, 2001, 2007. He says categorically, no evidence anywhere. Why? Are you aware that the UN IPCC has deliberately omitted 90,000 reliable measurements of carbon dioxide during the past 180 years? These show natural fluctuations up to 40% above current levels, avoiding the evidence. Why? Kelly, do you know that the only reliable temperature measurements are by weather balloon and satellite? Both show no net warming, just natural cycles varying up and down. And Larissa, 5 times in 1995, UN IPCC scientists report 5 times the UN IPCC scientists reported in making the 1995 report that there is no evidence of human warming. Yet politicians from the UN IPCC reported, quote, the balance of evidence suggests a discernible human influence on global climate, contradicting the evidence. Why? As Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd echoed UN IPCC Chair Rajendra Pachauri, stating 4,000 scientists claim humans caused warming. Do you know that figures from the UN IPCC itself show clearly that only 5 reviewers endorsed the claim? And there's doubt they were even scientists. Not 4,000, 5. That's a blatant falsity. Why? UN IPCC data shows peer review processes are completely corrupted and often completely bypassed. Chairman Pachauri claims that 100% peer-reviewed science, yet the 2007 report cited more than 5,500 references not peer-reviewed, including bushwalkers' anecdotes, newspaper stories, and campaign material from political activists. Fabrications. Ask yourself why, as you check the data yourself at conscious.com.au. Given the money, the billions on research grants, the careers and reputations being built, this is fraud. There is no evidence that humans cause the entirely natural cooling and warming cycles. The core is rotten. It's rotten to the core. Now that we understand the core, we can propose a cure. First, free people. Stop the peddling of unfounded, soul-destroying fear and guilt on you and on our kids. Second, there is no need for any extra costs on carbon fuels. Ignoring technology's massive environmental benefits, some say, well, do it anyway. Canadian environmentalist Lawrence Solomon says, quote, but Kyoto is not an insurance policy, just the opposite. It is the single greatest threat today to the global environment because it makes carbon into currency. Carbon is the element upon which all living things are built. With carbon and a kind of currency, which is what all carbon taxes and carbon trading and similar schemes do, all ecosystems suddenly have a commercial value that makes them subject to manipulation for gain. That's Canadian environmentalist Lawrence Solomon. Raising energy prices cannot affect climate. It will raise your electricity bill and your food bill, transport, housing, clothing. In 4 ways, it will seriously damage the environment. It will impose and it will impoverish hundreds of millions of people, and it will kill more people than UNEP's DDT ban. And that was 30 million. Science shows there is no need for any ETS or any tax on life. They're costly attacks to you, they hurt humanity, and they hurt nature. Instead, to really care, let's address the many real environmental and humanitarian challenges and set people free. Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you, Malcolm. I see a couple of people out in the audience fanning themselves. Do you want me to turn the air conditioning up? It'll cost you. All right?